Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for attending. My name is Brandon Stone. I am the chairperson of the Gettysburg Historic Architectural Review Board. Tonight I would like to introduce the board and the participants up here that will be reviewing items on the agenda. Starting to my right, your left, John Whitmore is the Code Enforcement Planning Officer, Historic Preservation Officer. He fills many roles for us in this capacity, and I appreciate all the time and effort he puts into this. His assistant, Karen Mesher, over here is our secretary. She takes notes and participates in the meeting as well. To my far right here is Stephanie Shara. She is the newest board member to our board. Mr. Paul Witt, Mr. Joe Edgar, Mr. Gary Schaefer, Ms. Suzanne Christensen, and Kim Spittler is our code enforcement and building inspector from PMCA and Safe Built. So as part of just routine housekeeping, the Gettysburg Historic Architectural Review Board is a design review board. Our goal is to advise Borough Council on the appropriateness of design changes within the designated historic districts within Gettysburg. And as such, we make recommendations for approvals to the Borough Council, which the council reviews those items subsequently on the next month's agenda. And for my reference, that would be March 9th. Thank you. It's March 9th. At this point in time, I am reviewing the agenda. And I am looking for any changes to the business meeting agenda for February 18th tonight. Are there any recommendations from the board as the agenda has been presented to us? I do have one suggestion that the borough would like to undertake. Item E, which is 29 East Middle Street, Darren Glass. I would like to recommend we change this from a major project to a critical project in its designation, as this is the continuation of a demolition previously associated with it. And under our guidelines, critical projects are related to demolition and otherwise critical projects. Are there any other suggestions to amend to the agenda? If not, I am looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Motioned by Mr. Edgar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Shara. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 21st. I sent an update list to Karen.
Thank
She
you.
had the opportunity to send it back out to us. That made a number of spelling corrections into it. And I know, Joe, you also suggested some other corrections as well. Are there any additions or corrections that we missed during the review of those meeting minutes? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the January meeting minutes as amended.
I move that the minutes of the January 21st meeting be officially entered as the official record of that meeting.
Moved by Mr. Schaefer. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Spittler. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this point in time, we'll move to item 3 on the agenda, which is open to public comments. Are there any public comments related to items on the agenda or just in general related to the Gettysburg Historic District? At this point, there doesn't seem to be anyone present for public comment. I will close public comments. So next on our agenda is the consent agenda items. And in speaking with Mr. Whitmore tonight, the representative for 128 York Street is present for tonight. And I know I certainly have some questions related to this project. And so I would like to have a little bit more in-depth conversation related to the location of the meter Is everybody okay with that? Is anybody else concerned with this as a consent agenda item? And if so, maybe we can just move it to the agenda and just treat it as the first item on the agenda? Okay. So as such, let's just make a note that the board has opted to move from a consent agenda to just a regular business agenda item. And at this point in time, we're looking to review COA 260024, 128 York Street, excuse me, Michael Cannon. Would there be a possibility of getting any background on the project, John, or are we going to try to?
To staff's knowledge, this was I would say a seasonal emergency type of situation where gas utility needs to be relocated. They have placed it, as you can see on the imaging on the screen, those provided in the meeting packet. It is currently in a location on the front of the structure, visible from the public right-of-way. There does appear to be the feasibility of placing it on the side of the structure, but that would result clearly in changes to what's already occurred and most likely modifications to the internals of the structure.
Okay, thank you. So the first question I would like to ask of the borough, Columbia Gas has been replacing meters throughout the historic district for better than 2 years now. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time that a meter placement has come to the board. Can you give some background of why this particular, was it specifically related to the modifications to the porch that triggered a certificate of appropriateness, or is there some other reason why it had to go through what would be an approval process for the borough?
Well, with this one, with the changes occurring in the front of the structure, it is visible. We had previously interpreted the ordinance to make it so that we were going to be bringing all exterior changes to the structures those base improvements before HARB for COA approval. It is a tricky situation. We're dealing with historic structures, so naturally there was a period when gas meters were inside those structures. That's no longer best practice or code compliant. So being able to review these is probably something that's going to be happening more frequently, especially as some of the older units begin aging out themselves.
Okay, thank you. At this point in time, are you Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Would you like to just speak to the project in terms of how we ended up where we're at?
Getting back to what you just asked, I submitted all my paperwork on January 9th, but it was misplaced. It wasn't processed till like 6 days ago, so that's why I think it's going to you guys. It was like an urgency, because they didn't think I filed it, but I did file it.
Was the work completed, though, before you submitted the work?
No, I didn't start the work till like 7 days after I submitted it.
Okay.
Just a second, do you mean, I mean, why do we have jurisdiction over that? I mean, Columbia Gas
Yeah.
decides where they're gonna put it. What do we have to do with that?
Right. And I'll say that I have 3 different inspectors from Columbia Gas, been over an hour with me.
Mhm.
And my contractor's DOT certified, so he knows all the rules too. So,
I think to answer your question, I think Suzanne, and I think there was a picture in here that actually speaks to it pretty well. I believe you put a picture of your adjacent neighbor's house over here,
Yeah.
just to give us an example.
yeah,
The majority of the meters that actually have come through the borough are typically put adjacent to the structures. And so, and they don't actually go into the physical exterior of the building. And so as soon as I think the meter needed to have the modifications to the front porch, I believe the borough was of the opinion that is an exterior alteration to the structure that is separate from what would be the Pennsylvania Utility Commission's installation of a meter at a house. And so,
I'm sure they do it based on where was it before, located in the basement. I mean, they're not gonna move lines. 20 feet
that is
because-
correct. And so that's a good question for the applicant. So,
if you wanted to, $20,000 more,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And no guarantee that if my basement wall collapsed, that they'd be responsible. See, the front of my house, that's not a structural wall, so that couldn't happen.
It's like a rubble stone roll.
No, I have separate framing a foot into the basement, holding up the front of the house. So my front, the stone wall inside is not structural. So that's where the old meter was. They wanna go to the side of the house, they'd have to go down and dig through that stone wall, which I don't have it.
So just to reiterate right now, based on the image we're seeing right now, your meter was previously inside underneath, say roughly where that window is in your basement?
Yep, like
Okay.
2 feet back.
So
compared
the gas
to facing the other way.
is right out on the sidewalk in there, so it's a straight shot out there. And so what your contractor and Columbia Gas determined was they just wanted to bring the meter out like they've done everywhere else in the borough. And in your circumstance, because you have a broad porch, they didn't have any other great place to put it. And so my first real
Under that
question,
porch is just regular sidewalk.
underneath that porch is just regular sidewalk.
Yep, that porch is built on sidewalk.
Well, that's the front porch of your house though, so it may have been,
On top of a concrete slab.
right.
Well, it's the same as the sidewalk. They originally thought that went into the basement.
Right. Well, I wouldn't have expected that,
Well, that's
but,
what I thought too. I thought it went in the basement, so I was wrong. Then I found out it doesn't go in the basement.
right, that,
See to the left of the house, there's only like this much space, so they couldn't trench the left of the house.
understood,
The right of the house, they had to go 20 feet back to get away from windows.
right.
And that was $15,000 just to do the first part.
So that's the first question I have for you. So right now, the reason why the meter is not against the back of the house is because of that window located there?
The back of the house would have been
Not the back,
$50,000.
the rear of the porch. Why is the
I don't
meters?
understand, they wouldn't let me put it on the left side or the right side of the porch.
Oh.
But it,
How about
if
up
they
against the
move
back
it-
wall of the porch? Instead of having it in the
because all that's PVC now, so it has to go on a slight curve. So they can't, it's not like metal piping that could go in and straight down into my basement
yes.
and then out. So it has to come out on a slope, same way it had to go up on a slope. So they can't have like 90-degree turns.
So one of the questions, and I'm very thankful Mr. Spittler is here tonight. So my concern right now is a free hanging meter base like that is actually accessible from the rear. Is that legal that he could, in theory, and this is just me hypothetically, somebody in a wheelchair could be on that porch and could they bump into it off of the porch? And it seems that its openness is not an ideal circumstance.
See them 2 flower boxes?
Yes,
They block the whole porch, left and right.
they did originally, and so you have them moved away right now, and so,
No. I'm more concerned about the left and right, like you're talking about. So there's one on the left and there's one on the right. The front, it's so cold that I didn't put the trap door in or nothing like that yet.
right.
And if you want it, I could put a fence around the front and the back, or even over top. But them flower boxes block you from going to the left or the right. So
Correct.
You can't go behind it.
So give me 1 second here. I would really like to have Mr. Spittler's answer on this in terms of the position of the meter base where it's out in the open like that. As far as you know, is that permitted by code?
Well, first of all, they're setting it per their code or their ordinance.
Yes.
I don't think there would be anything in the code that would require where it has to be up against a building.
Okay.
That is the way, at least the structure of the meter is pretty stout. It's gonna take a hit before it has, a pretty good hit before it'd have to break or,
Okay.
get ruptured.
So from its positioning right now, there is no safety concerns about it just being out in the open like
It
that.
just looks rough.
So then that poses the question I have for you. When I was looking at the property beforehand, I realized that you had those flower boxes in there to prevent people being able to go between those posts. Can you put the flower boxes back over the meter?
In front?
Over it?
No,
Well, I thought it.
You can't do that.
has to vent.
It has to vent.
There's a vent on that.
So previously, and there's an old photo of this where the house actually has both of those boxes in between the columns, and it was ornamental, and it looked very attractive. And so my thought was, if he cut the bottom out of one of those flower boxes and in effect basically set it over top of the meter like it was before, that would still have, you know, a foot clearance on all sides of it, and it would really move the position back to where it was looking before, which was those boxes were acting as flower boxes on the front porch.
Well, presently, I'm more concerned about the left and right as you're talking about, but I can build something like you're talking about, or just, two little fences that you won't even see, they'll match the porch,
Yes.
you won't even see them. And, put one to the left, one to the right, put the flower boxes back where they are, the flower boxes would block the meter.
Yeah.
So I should've brought this up during, the public comment.
You can't really block it back because
I
it's so
don't like
deep.
that,
Oh.
there's three things somebody could screw on that to disconnect my gas line.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Now everybody in the borough has the same thing.
But what, why, don't they have a lock or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, you could put a lock on there, but I think Columbia Gas and the PUC, I think frown upon homeowners putting locks
Oh,
on
I
their
don't want to put
meters.
it on there, I want them to put it on.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that. And Mr. Edgar pointed out to me, and this is actually a really important thing, the meter is probably 3 feet deep by the time the pipes go back in.
But if you put the flower boxes back in line with the columns,
Yes,
it'll block a lot of that.
Right.
it would,
To block all of it.
it would. But his access on his porch is then severely constrained.
I don't use my porch anyways.
Okay.
So I was thinking of doing like a combination cover and, package thing like people have for, like a bench to put packaging in, or
Right,
Amazon packages or something like that.
yeah.
But this comes back to, do we have any say in where a meter goes?
Not the meter, but I would say in terms of any changes to the porch. Mr. Schaefer?
No, Mr. Whitney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I may, meters are regulated with the design guide. This is found, let me pull up the page. Basically, the gist, meter boxes, utility meters, wires, piping, boxes, and related equipment should be installed in unobtrusive locations on the rear or secondary walls.
Yes.
And then there's provisions on methods for concealment and such in the design guides.
Most recently, though, in Lancaster and in Columbia, there was a Supreme Court ruling by the state of Pennsylvania on this exact topic. And the ruling stated that meter bases, meters in general, aren't properly defined in the statute, and as such, it falls to the Pennsylvania Utility Commission. I spent most of the day reading on that brief in that space, and I think from a vendor and utility provider, I think the state is pretty clear on it that the historic district is trumped by their decision where they put the meter.
When the work was done to increase the pressure in the lines, initially by Columbia Gas, and most of that work was in the historic district. And of course, they were replacing the mains and all the lines into the houses. Within a block of the square, they did put the meters back in the basements rather than have them in. But my point is that when Columbia Gas originally did that, they submitted to HARB photographs of every house, and we discussed where they were providing to put the meters. Of course, at that time, they had the luxury of moving meters and service lines because they were replacing them all.
Right.
In this situation, they're kind of locked in to where the service line comes in
Correct.
because they're not relocating. That work has already been done. It's unfortunate, but I think there's things that could be done to mitigate that presence, even just something at the edge of the porch, whether it be, as you said, a flower box or something with some sort of planting in it that's just along the edge. But my point in the conversation is Columbia Gas, when they were doing the initial work, worked very hard with the borough to try to mitigate the impact of these meters along the streets. And there were ones that they could not do that with.
And they accommodated that at the time.
They worked hard with us, and it came through a couple of different HARB meetings. I don't know, but we had a photographic book, and we were able to go through with the problem properties and
Interesting.
see where they would be willing to put the meters.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because in the statute, it does say it is their discretion to pull the meter out. They have the ability to leave the meter inside the house, and you probably didn't know that at the
I
time.
do know that, but
Well,
they have a vested interest in me spending more money, because my old piping would have allowed just to put a smaller piping into it, it would have been even 20% of what I did pay, which is only 5% of what the first recommendation was.
Right. And unfortunately, you've already invested all of this money to do what you have now, and so,
Let me ask you something. They want it to be outside for safety reasons, but now I got a brand new pipe. That doesn't seem to be a good argument anymore.
No, I mean, with the increased pressure, they want them outside the basement. They were requiring, it was only in a few places in Gettysburg, they had allowed them to retain a position in the basement.
But I'm told it wasn't high pressure after the meter.
Pardon?
Oh. So if it went in the basement, it'd be high pressure to the meter.
to the meter. And Cress, when the meter vents or something because of that high pressure, it would vent into your basement. And so that's what they're trying to avoid.
It's a safety issue for
It
them.
is.
Mine's in my basement.
Yeah, I don't think they made it over to our sides of the town, Suzanne. Well, I'm not sure, John, from the borough's perspective right now, are you looking for an endorsement from the board on this? What's the expectation in terms, since it was on the consent agenda, typically these items are intended to be routine, and so this is far from routine. One second, sir.
Well, with the application, it's a major project. The HARB is going to be giving the recommendation to council for a final decision. So a consent agenda, usually we're able to say the findings of fact pretty simply.
Yes.
We need to have something on this one from HARB, just at
So
least.
you're looking for a motion for
Yes.
whether or not to do it. And so at the current circumstance as it is right now, it sounds like that Mr. Cannon would like to actually come up with an alternative, because I don't think you like the way it is at this point.
I love it.
In terms of its visibility, its accessibility,
Sir, it was 5 degrees for 3 weeks after, so
that's true.
I did not fix anything. This is how it was the day they were done.
Yep,
So nothing's fixed. But when I put the new deck boards down,
yes.
and if I put the flower box back in the front, it will be invisible.
I think it will be too.
So,
But the other thing, this cannot be out of the ordinary, because that's the same argument Columbia Gas had, same argument all the plumbers had. They looked for hours and hours and hours, and they came up with all these things that would cost like 25 grand.
Yeah.
But every one of my neighbors is gonna need this, so you're gonna have to come up with a routine, and it can't be that everything's a special case, you gotta argue it.
I can tell you that I've been on this board for almost 5 years now. This is the first time this has happened for me.
Well, maybe the lines are just starting
And
to fail.
Gary has implied that early on, that it seemed like there was a concern right down the immediate square of town regarding this.
There was
but-
a leak last weekend, right?
There was.
So my neighbor had a leak 6 months ago. My leak was so bad they had to shut off my service.
Yep,
I didn't have gas for 2 weeks.
yeah,
And New Year's Eve revelers smelled it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
could have been bad.
But I can tell you, my property on High Street right now, my meter looks exactly like the picture that you brought in there. It's tight against the house, it's down, it's in. It's just unfortunate that my meter depth is a foot. I do not have this huge depth of piping out the back. And if you look at your neighbor's photo, they don't have that either. And so that's the one piece of this. It just seems like it is overpiped for what it is compared to,
Yeah, but that, you can't move on from that.
you can't what?
You can't move on from that.
I'm not sure if I follow you. What do you mean you can't move on from
It
that?
sounds like you're thinking that the solution is to change something.
I'm just thinking from your contractor's perspective, if you look at that picture right there, that meter base is probably about a foot deep. And the photo we have, it looks like in yours, you have piping going back 3 feet across that porch with the inclusion of the meter base. So it is gonna gobble up a fair amount of your porch, but that seems to be what's been installed. So,
My porch has never been used for anything.
yeah.
Do you have any
He
issues?
wanted, excuse me, isn't there a code that you have to cover the meter?
No,
Well, that's what I read.
No.
Has to be protected from weather.
well, it's protect, you've got the roof on the porch,
I do, my neighbor don't.
but there, as far as I know, there's no code requiring on that, gas meter to be covered.
Now, I can tell you, we have seen houses in town that the ice storm that we had over the past couple of weeks, it caused the meters to actually get encased in ice. And so Lee's Buffet, which is right down the street from you, right? They had to put a plastic tub over top of their meter base because it was getting completely saturated with ice. And so it seems like that.
5 degrees, I didn't like that part.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, sir, I don't feel that there's really a compelling thing that we can recommend you do. It is just a unfortunate circumstance, the way it has been installed. And at this point, are there any other questions for the applicant? I don't really feel compelled that we have ability to say, redo this. I would prefer it have been done better, but if we can accommodate having, if the plant base can go back out in front, which conceals it, I think it, and you're comfortable with what you're left with, you're ultimately the owner of the property. You're the one that has to deal with this.
I'm not the owner.
Okay,
That's my ex-wife, she's the owner.
okay,
I had to make the decision to pay for the fix, she doesn't live there.
yeah.
But in order to get fixed, I had to pay for it.
Because in the middle of a cold snap, you have no heat.
No, because she has no money.
Okay,
So I'm not gonna pay $20,000
sure.
to go down the right side of my house. And then they would have to move the meter on the street, that might have took however much time for them too. That made it much more complex.
Do you have any issue with the way the meter is now?
I do not.
Well, then what's the problem? Just patch.
He's
pat-
uncomfortable,
patch
that's
the
what
deck?
make me nervous.
I'm running a
Really?
meeting right now trying to talk to my board members to see if there is any concerns, and it does not sound like there is.
I don't have a concern. He doesn't.
I don't
so
either.
move
So
on.
at this point in time, I feel like we've already adequately
Yeah.
discussed this item. It sounds like the borough would like to have some formal approval on this. We really aren't gonna be able to do findings of fact of this because it really was a consent agenda item. But I am looking for a motion that would approve the application as presented.
I'll make a motion.
So there is a motion by Ms. Christensen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Shara. Is there any additional debate or questions for the applicant at this time? Hearing none, do a roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I feel compelled to say I will be opposed on this one for the sake of the way this was executed. Had it been planned, had it been a little bit better designed, I think things could have accommodated the circumstance. But I also understand the situation was not ideal.
My drawing is the exact same thing that came out.
Okay. At that point, The motion carries. Thank you, sir.
So, I should have mentioned this before, but maybe all my neighbors are gonna have the same issue. Is there any way you could put out like an advisory?
Same issue. The majority of your neighbors have had their meters replaced.
No, but not on my street.
I can tell you, all on High Street and over on Middle Street, the meters have all been replaced. They
Yeah,
look
then they
identical.
stopped, and then they stopped.
Okay,
And it, so all of York Street's not replaced.
okay.
And so I don't know the truth of, like, you said, you can't go in the basement. But I've read in some other things, in the historic district, you can be in the basement. Like, if you ordered to be in the basement, but then you said Columbia Gas has the last say.
So it is at the discretion of the installer that would ultimately,
But the installer was not Columbia Gas. Columbia Gas has to prove it before my installer did.
correct. But you could have potentially lobbied to have the meter in your basement and stating that this would have been the circumstance, and in theory, you could have came to the board. The board could have said, no, we do not want it on the street, but at this point in time, it's,
No, I know, but I'm talking about for the future. If that is true, in the basement, it's 5% of the cost of putting on the side of the house. So
yes.
it has to be,
And you know what?
Some-
It brings up a good point. So maybe as a follow-up item, John, we will discuss it with Mr. Gable and the borough manager about how to actually handle this on. Because if it does start becoming a problem where there are modifications to the house in the historic district, you're gonna need to have a certificate of appropriateness, much like everybody else here tonight. And so, we will take this under advisement. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. So do I have to come back March 9th?
No?
No. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. At this point in time, we're gonna move to the regular business agenda items. Item A, COA 260026, major project 17 Mummasburg Street, Harry Stokes. Good evening, Mr. Stokes.
Good evening, HARB.
1 second, if you would, please. Mr. Whitmore, do you think you could give background on the project for us, please?
Yes, the project scope is to repoint the stone foundation in the basement, restore wood siding under stucco, and if in good condition. History, this was first shown on the Sanborn Fire Insurance map in 1907 as a two-story frame dwelling with a slate or tin roof, and a one-story frame rear addition with slate or tin roof. No permit history is available with this property. Staff recommendation, any historic features that can be repaired or restored should be preserved. Review location of new materials and visible features from main streetways, and the wood siding would be a fabulous addition to the community as a restoration project. That concludes the staff report for this.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Mr. Stokes, if you'd like to go over to the podium and introduce yourself, I'm sure most people here know you, but
Would you, do, I can well, for our family, this will be the 10th historic restoration we've undertaken. We've done 5 on Mummasburg Street, 6 on Mummasburg Street. Let's see, 7 on Mummasburg Street. I've lost count. 2 on North Washington Street and 1 on West Middle Street. You can see the house there. It's got a Civil War plaque on it. Andrew Dalton, looking through the newspapers, thought that the building that is standing now actually may date from about the 1880s or 1890s. But upon inspection, we think it's a much older building. John, yeah, next slide. So there's a little history of the house. The property was originally owned by the McLean family, and it eventually came into the possession of Evelyn Kitzmiller, who lived in the house during the battle. And then eventually a neighbor, John Utz, bought the property and eventually subdivided the property because the property ran all the way down to Water Street, And then Mr. Utz built the house that's on the corner of Mummasburg and Water, currently owned by Ray Ann Passmore. And as he did that, he restored or renovated 17 Mummasburg Street. So the building is a real hodgepodge. We think we found the original core of the house dating to anywhere from 1780 to 1830. And John, next slide. Yes. And we have some indicators of the age of the original core of the house. We noticed rosehead nails, which are hand-forged nails in some of the original siding. You can see that in the first two pictures. And there's a picture of some of the original siding over on the right with a bead at the bottom of each board, which was very typical of early milling. We also noticed whitewash on the ceiling, which indicated that the original house was not plastered, but was simply whitewashed. And we noticed from the high-profile molding around some of the interior doors a style of molding which is very early. And then the photo on the right shows how thin one of the interior walls is, and this is because it's a old-fashioned plank wall. So it's not a stud wall, it's just planks laid up side by side. Next slide. And there you can see some of the trim work, which may go back to the beginning of the house. And we also noticed, as we poked around to see what condition the wood siding was in, that a lot of the studs in the walls, the inside of the exterior walls, were planks or edges of logs with the bark still on. And the construction was very rough, really a poor man's construction, not much of a house. So the core of the house, which is 2 rooms down and 2 rooms up, seems to date back to the beginning of Gettysburg, which was a real surprise. The back addition where the kitchen is probably was added by Miss Kitzmiller around 1857 and then renovated again in 1880 or maybe around 1900. We were able to determine that on the original core of the house, the gable faced north-south. The gable now faces east-west. And we could see in the walls that square core of the house, that a new superstructure was put on the top of the house, and the gable was, shifted to east-west. So that was quite a surprise as well. Now, what we would like to, okay, we can. Yeah, on this slide, this shows what we have to do with the house to bring it back. It's not a well-built house, and there are many problems with the construction. So we have a lot of reinforcing to do on beams and studs and rafters in order to assure that the house is structurally sound. I don't have the right glasses, so I can hardly see this. There's no insulation anywhere in the house, so all the exterior walls have to be insulated. all of our wiring, plumbing, and heating and HVAC have to be installed new. The concrete front porch, which was probably added in the 1920s or 1930s, is failing and could collapse. So we propose taking off that concrete porch and replacing it with as close to the original style of porch that would have been on the house. And we would roof that porch. The bathrooms are very primitive and very small, so we have to redo the bathrooms. And of course, bring the house up to code. So that's the scope of the work. It's basically building a new house inside or around the old house. So what we're asking HARB to review and hopefully approve is, let me get closer to this so I can read it. We need to sister or replace all of the structural members in the house. That's not really something HARB needs to worry about. But,
Correct.
that's sort of project number one. We hope to remove the stucco, which is very heavy. It's concrete stucco on wire mesh. It was probably put on at the same time that that concrete porch was put on. So we propose removing that and rescuing the German siding, which is in good enough condition, and then we can go down to the Hicksville mill in Maryland and mill additional material to match the German siding, so that we would return the house to traditional German siding. We would like to remove the concrete front porch and build a traditional wooden porch. And probably put on a hip roof above. And the original house had a front porch with a roof, because the remnants are clearly visible for that. At the rear of the house, we would like to add a shed addition, and you'll see a picture here shortly, to add another something like a 12 by 12 room or a 13 by 12 room on the back of the kitchen, because the house is very small. The house has about 1,140 square feet of interior space. And that back addition will also be able to give us a nice handicap accessible at-grade entrance. We would like to adjust one of the roof lines in back. The bathroom, which is in the back of the house, is below the kitchen floor by about a foot. And if we can adjust the roof line up slightly, we can bring that back bathroom up to the same level as the kitchen floor. And then we would like to remove the 20th century exterior brick chimney from the north side of the house. So these pictures basically show what we would like HARB to consider. So these pictures show the degraded condition of this concrete stucco. There are lots of cracks and lots of places where moisture has been getting in behind the stucco. And we don't know what condition.
He's describing all these.
We don't know what condition the wood material is under the stucco, but we hope it's not too bad. So we would take the stucco off and restore or replace the German siding. And where you see wood siding on the front of the house, about 12 to 13 years ago, the stucco fell off the front, and a contractor came in and removed the rest of the stucco and put up that German siding. And the reason that was so badly deteriorated was because the the roof line of the porch had allowed moisture to get in behind the stucco. And so the stucco on the lower part of the facade was just coming off the house. Okay, and here's the concrete porch, and you can see there are cracks and fissures throughout the concrete structure. There's really no way to salvage this, and besides, even though it's older than 50 years old, it's still not original to the house, so we'd like to replace it with something closer to the original. Okay, next slide. Now here in the back is the rear of the kitchen. This structure, this added structure was probably built by Kitzmiller in the 1850s and then renovated again around 1900, maybe renovated again in the 20th century, and then substantially dressed up around 1980. What we would like to do is add a shed addition on the back that would come out about 12 feet, which would be an additional room to serve the kitchen or as a general purpose room.
Mr. Stokes, could I interrupt really
Yeah.
quick? So it has come to our attention, you may not know what is actually on your application for tonight's review.
Okay.
There is one request to remove the stucco on this building.
Oh, is that right?
That's just it.
Okay.
And so all of the other things that you are proposing is a much larger project scope than what is before us tonight for review. Many of the things that you're describing require plans and drawings and the final rendering of what the proposed building looks like. I am of the opinion, given the scope and scale of what Mr. Stokes has presented tonight, I would like to maybe table this request and allow the applicant to submit an application that actually captures the scope of work that he is proposing to do on the property. Because the application that was presented to us is literally, and if I may read this to you, repoint stone foundation and basement, restore wood siding under stucco if in good condition. That is the application that was presented to us.
Okay, well, I submitted that before we were actually able to go in and investigate the house.
Sure.
So we've done that. At least if we could move forward on those two items, and we can submit a plan for this addition at the rear of the property. Now, this is at the rear of the property, so I'm not up to date on whether HARB really cares to rule on a change at the rear of the property.
So from just a general awareness, so a certificate of appropriateness is required in Gettysburg for a construction project on a tenth of what you've described tonight. So the work that you have described needs measured drawings, renderings. You need to get a certificate of appropriateness for that, which ultimately then will need to go to Mr. Spittler for PMCA for a building inspection and all of the, you're looking at footings, foundations,
Sure,
new
understood.
structural buildings, so the scope of work is far larger than what I think any of us are prepared to rule on right now tonight. What I would recommend you to do is organize your project plan together and possibly, John, just for the sake of clarity, if we were to rule on the certificate of appropriateness that he has submitted tonight, but he comes back and says, I want to rechange the roof on it, that will require another certificate of appropriateness, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so all the exterior improvements not covered under the application associated with the consolidated land use permit application for
Would
this.
have to be resubmitted
Yeah.
again. And so one of my concerns is, if you piecemeal this together, you could have hundreds of dollars of permit requests with the borough. If you organize it under a single request, you would then be able to unify it under one request to the borough. And that's certainly up to you how you want to approach this.
Okay, let me ask you, do you even have to review a shed addition on the rear of the building? Is that in your purview?
I would say it is because you're making an exterior modification to a structure that's outside of what would be, this would be in the realm of critical project work, since that addition would require a foundation.
But it doesn't, it's not visible from the front or the sides of the property?
The property, the site itself is what is the contributing structure to the Gettysburg Historic District. Your proposed modifications right now are, at least in my opinion, taking a structure that has already attributed its historical presence, and you are asking to remodify the entire site.
Well, no, not the entire site. The only physical changes to the, dimensional changes to the exterior of the building are right here on this slide. It's true that the porch is
Porches, the roofs, you have asked for modifications on the western, southern, and this is the eastern side of the building. You've asked to remove the chimney on the northern side of the building.
well, right, I can come back for the chimney and I can come back for the shed addition. I'd like to ask for approval on the removal of the stucco and, and on the foundation work.
How does the board feel with that? With, right now, the applicant has two pieces on it, of which the foundation work, in my opinion, is really in-kind work. The repointing of foundation stone is, I'm really not sure if it really warrants a permit. Of course, removing the stucco on the building and looking for the underlying siding on the building is a pretty big project. My concern is, given the scope of work that the applicant has submitted, the line that to start any of the other work would require additional permit requests.
Well, that's fine. I don't mind coming back for
I
a
think-
second permit.
I think we go and vote on what is submitted tonight,
Yes.
and with everybody's knowledge, understanding that this would need to be resubmitted for the porch, the addition, any other changes. So this would just be for the foundation and for the stucco work.
So where I get confused is, so they're not gonna be able to remove the stucco of the building and not reside the building. And as soon as they reside the building, he has asked for modifications on all of the exterior sides of the building. So how do you take the stucco off, reside the building, and then come in and say, well, I want to lift the roof on the porch on the back to give us more head heights. I want to take the chimney off of the house that I just ripped the stucco off of the house. So how is he able to facilitate those additional modifications after he's already resided the house?
Well, because
But there's a wood siding is under the stucco.
yeah,
He's
and,
trying to
and,
expose the original
Yeah.
siding at this
He's
point.
just taking the stucco off.
and where I am proposing to raise the roof is on the back addition. You can see that there's a roof line that is above a second roof line. I would just bring that roof at the right-hand side up and align it with the other roof line. There would be no physical changes to that wall there, and that doesn't involve the stucco work. And, time is of the essence. This building could have fallen down, or could still fall down. I feel very motivated to get this heavy stucco off of the house as quickly as possible. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but we also discovered that the house was badly compromised with
Turbines.
termite
You
damage.
did.
So, and we also have, it's the low period of the work season, so we like to move along expeditiously while we have our construction team available. So I certainly at least want to address the stucco and the siding. if nothing else, but, with regard to the concrete porch, all I'm asking is to demolish the concrete porch and replace what was originally there.
That is not on this application.
And no, I understand.
And I think that's where it's a miscommunication.
It's not a miscommunication, it was, when I filed the application to get on the agenda, we didn't have all the information available to us about what was wrong with the property.
Agreed. And I think as you get underneath the stucco, you're gonna discover that the original wood siding has been also compromised by the same water damage that
Well,
you
some
have.
has, but what we're proposing is to match that siding with,
Whatever is there.
with wood siding, which we will mill at the Hicksville planing mill, where they can match the
Profile of it.
siding exactly.
I think I'm fairly comfortable with that myself, if that is the scope of work which is being presented. And that would certainly allow the applicant to move forward with at least exploring the structure. Cause I think once he gets to the point of getting the stucco off the building, a lot of the other items that he has brought up, I think he'll have more understanding on what's gonna specifically need to be done. One of my concerns, though, is the requirements for applications to be submitted by an applicant for the borough, Mr. Whitmore, requires rendered drawings, measured floor plans. Like, we need more information than images that just point to what a measurement is.
Yeah, well, we're happy to come back with the
Okay.
drawings.
So how much more on the slide do you have to present?
Just the next slide, please. You can see a picture of the 20th century chimney, which we would propose to take down, so we'll resubmit for that. And also there's a fake stone veneer, which we would replace. And then I might mention that there's an old smokehouse on the property, which we would repoint.
That's cute.
Yeah, maybe we don't need permission for that, because we're.
That's
simply
an
gonna-
in-kind replacement, if you're just actually restoring what's there.
That's correct.
Is there any chance, could you go back one slide, John? Yeah, well, thank you. So they have requested to remove that chimney. It's not in the application. When they go to do the siding, most certainly the areas around that chimney are going to be compromised.
Well, maybe you would agree to let that be added to the application.
I'm not sure
here.
how the borough feels about, they don't typically like, now I guess we could specifically include that in the motion if we wanted to.
Why don't we go down with questions and let everybody ask questions?
Do you have any questions of this applicant, Suzanne?
Yeah, I think that everybody should have an opportunity.
We'll start with you
to-
then.
Well, no, let's start with you.
I don't have any.
I have no questions right now.
Okay,
No questions.
okay. So when you're doing the foundation, I mean, you said you're gonna repoint it. I just wanna be clear when we're passing or whatever's gonna happen. If there's a bunch of if there's foundation work, are you sure you wanna repoint it and do that now before you do that process of repointing it?
I don't understand. In other words, we would repoint the interior
Interior,
and
okay,
exterior
That was the
of
question.
the foundation.
okay,
In assuring the structural integrity of the building, we're starting at the foundation and working up,
Right.
obviously.
okay, and so the next thing is, you're going to, just to be super clear, you're removing the stucco, and you're going to assess what's under it, and you're not, if you have to replace it, you replace it in kind with the similar milled wood, no other material.
Gary, after my experience with vinyl siding on 26 Mummasburg, I would never put any vinyl anywhere ever again. We put wood siding on the front of one of the buildings we did on 26 and vinyl on the sides. And I'm so displeased with that vinyl. It grows mold and mildew, it loses its shape, it falls apart. For me, it's wood siding only.
Okay.
Okay,
I really strongly, nothing's been invented that does better than wood products on
Yeah.
houses.
well, we just need to know so it's clear with what we're going to
Approve.
approve tonight.
Yes.
And, yeah, that's all the questions I have.
Mr. Spittler?
I don't have any.
So I made some notes in here that were specifically around your stucco work, Mr. Stokes. So one of the things you'll notice is around all of your windows, the profile detail of the window, the casing around your exterior windows, to facilitate the stucco, you lost a lot of the depth of your window casings. And so are you prepared to recase your windows?
Yes, I haven't evaluated yet. Unfortunately, when replacement windows were added to that building about 15 years ago, they were not the greatest windows.
Correct.
So if we can squeeze it into the budget, we'd like to replace those windows with.
But just to be clear, I'm not talking about replacing the windows.
Yes, casing, yes,
The
of course, the
casing.
windows would be properly framed inside and out and casements.
Okay, because they're right now integrated with the stucco on the building, so as you remove that stucco, the casings on every window in the building are most likely going to be part of the demolition process.
We might have to reset each and every one of those windows, if that's what you're saying.
I'm actually, I don't know what I'm improving for what the casings of the windows would look like, because the casings there are specifically implemented for stucco on a building, not a sided building. And so that predicates that the windows are all gonna need to be recased with, in theory, what would be a period appropriate casing. It may be a possibility that you can detach the stucco lath from the windows without impacting the casing, but given the number of windows you have and the fact that the stucco is on 3 out of 4 surfaces on the building, the act of removing the stucco is going to be pretty destructive to the actual fabric of the building. And while there is a good possibility that the siding underneath is intact, its relationship with how the windows were installed is going to have to be evaluated. And I think as a board, when assuming we approve a motion tonight, we have to be mindful that the treatment of the windows, you mentioned vinyl siding. So when vinyl guys come around, the first thing they do is they put J-channel around all the windows. You lose all of the details for the windows. Now you're going back to a sided building. You have the opportunity to actually put what would be the historically appropriate treatment for the windows back on the building, which I'm not sure exactly what that would be. And so I look in that window right now up there, and you can see that there is a little bit of a sill that bumps out in the siding right there that maintains that. But you can also see when you get closer to the property, there is only about a 1/2 inch difference between the surface of the casing and the plane of the stucco. They built out the wall so much because they were trying to get the thickness on the stucco. So that's one of my concerns, as if they go forward with the removal of the stucco, it impacts a number of the other things with the building's fabric that haven't been explained in the application. And so we may have to leave it to Mr. Stokes to,
Well, that sounds a little bit like overthinking the issue. The windows, the original windows, the stucco was put on possibly before the turn of the 20th century or shortly after.
and the windows were installed, you said, probably 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, these windows are new replacement windows, but they were replacing windows that had been on the building probably since the stucco was installed.
Correct.
Obviously, obviously, and a number of the windows don't work because they've been squeezed or pressured by the shifting of the building. So we expect we'll have to take out and reset most of the windows.
Yes.
John, can you go back to this picture? Like, from the application. Because I think that gives you the answer of what the, of what the window trim would look like in the wooden siding, as you see.
But, you know, he said that the front porch stucco detached, and they had to redo this entire front of the building. So, are you saying that is the period appropriate trim, or is that just happened to be the residual of the
Was
restoration?
that what was left, or was that?
I don't know. And that's the challenge that we have, that I'm sure that because that part of the building was compromised, what'd you say, 10 years ago approximately?
About 15.
15 years ago? The windows on the side, if you notice, the stucco actually comes out from them.
It does, it comes out quite a ways.
Which, and so, my recommendation would be that whatever the oldest looking window frame that you have, that informs your decision. A lot of what you're doing right now is an exploration in some regards. You're trying to figure out what the original fabric of the building is, and it sounds like your intent is to try to take it to that.
Take it back as close as possible to the original.
Yes, but it just, when I visited the site, what I noticed was every single side of the house has different depths of how the stucco was attached to the building, each of which impacts the framings of all the windows. And so, and given that they are a low-quality vinyl window, I understand they're expensive to put new windows in.
Yeah, we'll probably try to put new wooden windows in, like Marvin windows, which is what we've used in a number of the other restorations.
One of the things that I would ask of you is to try to anchor the age of the building to a particular point in time. In your presentation, you actually spanned almost 200 years. And the challenge with that is, I would say from our guidance, according to the borough, the building was constructed in 1907. That is the Sanborn fire map shows that that building was not in its current configuration prior to 1907. And is that the effective way that I read that map? It is what is on the Historic Preservation's recommendation. And that time frame helps you sort of focus in what you should be targeting in terms of design, at least in my opinion. Gary, you may have a different opinion in terms of how the fabric of the building takes on its own historic significance. And given the scope of Mr. Stokes' work, I'm not sure how to balance the multiple periods of history the
Well, I
building.
think we have a partially restored building, we have a damage that's been, we know there's wood siding under it, the stucco was added later. The stucco is, to restore the stucco is a valid choice, I think, because there's been proof of the previously existing exterior finish. The exposure of the wood is a valid, they're both valid
Options.
options.
Okay.
And so, you know, I think for the modest building, it would be interesting to allow the procedure to, the owner to proceed with removal of the stucco, and I think pretty quickly they'll determine whether that's wise or not.
Yes. But at that point, they would have to then resubmit any additional discoveries for review.
Of course. I think we should make a motion. We're belaboring this.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
If I can ask, I'd like to get a certificate of appropriateness, at least for some work, and then go down to the municipal codes office and get a building permit so we can start work on the building, and as we discover more, and in fact, even immediately, I've already spoken to Gary about drawing up plans for the structural changes in the back, so we'll definitely get that prepared for the HARB to review as well. But, we'd like to have a building permit so we can at least, proceed with our due diligence and our emergency structural repair.
So Suzanne, you were leaning towards putting a motion in. What are we making a motion
So
for?
we're making a motion for repointing the inside and outside of the stone structure, stone foundation.
I don't believe there's any outside stone to repoint. Everything
There
is,
Yeah, no, there is some, yeah.
On the rear by the
On the
patio.
back.
that's a veneer stone, which he wants to remove.
Well, that's on the north side. We have, under the stucco finish, at the base of the house is the stone.
So
Because they're gonna remove it.
they're gonna
and
remove the
then-
stucco,
and
they
then do
expose that, which they wanna
Right.
okay, thank you.
So, and then to remove the stucco from the outside, to maintain as much of the current wood siding as possible, and if anything needs to be replaced, replace it with wood milled to match the current, the old wood.
Now, Gary brings up an interesting
But
point.
not, the chimney.
How about the front porch?
What about the front porch?
He's asking to remove the front porch too.
Oh, I didn't know we were talking about that.
Aren't
Yeah.
you mainly going for the way he submitted it, not the extras?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Well,
that's,
the one extra, if you could approve the one extra, is removing the chimney.
No.
Gas furnaces no longer vent through chimneys, so there's, that chimney, which is an add-on from the 1930s probably, or the 20s, it's an eyesore to these old houses, and it serves no function.
And I believe we defer to John. In the previous months, we have discussed and voted on what was submitted only.
Yes, and also I just note there is a motion that's currently pending for a second, so that should be taken care of.
I'm not sure if Suzanne actually made a motion yet. I think she was just formulating what the motion would be, given the complexity of the nation.
I was making a motion the way I do, which is just basic, and then somebody will say it in a pretty way. Is that right?
Generally, though, yes, we would, all the exterior improvements that were not included in the consolidated land use permit application should be included with either tabling this to allow for the applicant to include it on the application,
Yeah.
or to
I'm sorry,
proceed,
Miss-
allow them to just resubmit.
I'm sorry, Mr. Stokes, we're not allowed to add the things that weren't already in, and
No
so
problem.
we can only make a motion for those two items. So, I think you're gonna have a lot of work ahead of you for the next month, so just maybe put that on the docket for next month.
Okay.
And at that point, if we are to the point there are no more questions for the applicant, we still have to remember to read proposed findings of facts according to state statute.
Okay.
So, and I mean to ask, do you guys have any questions? I know this is a little bit disjointed of how we're dealing with this.
I'm ready to move forward.
Okay. And how about you, Joe? Do you?
No.
I think where we've landed is we're gonna try to just assess what the applicant has submitted for us and then move on from that point. Mr. Schaefer, are you okay with that as well?
Pardon?
Are you okay with that, to move forward?
The approval of the application is submitted.
I need to do the proposed findings of fact, and then at that point, we'll get ready to move for a motion. Now, how about you, Mr. Spittler?
I'm good.
Okay. If there's no more questions, just to keep things moving along here, I'd like to read the proposed findings of fact. The structure at 17 Mummasburg Street is located within the boundaries of the Gettysburg Historic District and thus comes under the review right of this board. It is subject to the oversight under Chapter 11 of the Borough of Gettysburg Municipal Code, which governs the preservation of historic and architecturally significant areas within the borough. It is a sensitive building as defined by the Borough of Gettysburg Municipal Code, being over 50 years old, and it is a modest example of an early 20th century vernacular gable front house. The building is a contributing structure to the Gettysburg Battlefield Historic District, constructed in 1907 as a two-story frame dwelling, and it reflects an early 20th century domestic architecture emphasizing functional massing, straightforward construction, and minimalistic stylistic embellishments. The structure exhibits restrained detailing characteristic of a working-class residential construction of a period and contributes to the historic streetscape through its scale, orientation, and traditional residential form. The proposed work is considered a major project with modification of a contributing structure, including repointing of stone foundation in the basement and restoration of wood siding under stucco if in good condition, replace if necessary with a compatible alternative. The property is viewable from the public way of Mummasburg Street. The Secretary of Interior Standards and the Gettysburg Design Guide both play a crucial role in our historic preservation process. Please consider the following. Standard 2, retain and preserve historic character. Removal of non-historic stucco may restore original appearance if the underlying structure survives. Standard 5, preservation of distinctive materials and features. If historic siding remains, it should be repaired and not replaced. And Standard 6, replacement in kind if necessary. If siding must be replaced, new materials should match in historic design, scale, and texture. At this point, is there a motion by this board as to the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness to the Borough Council for the proposed work? Are there any additional conditions this board would advise to be added to the application?
I'll make the motion that I said earlier.
So Suzanne is making a motion to approve the application to repoint the stone foundation in the basement and remove the stucco and repair and replace the wood siding with a compatible alternative. The motion is on the floor. Is there a second?
Inside and outside. The repointing inside and outside.
Of the basement?
Yep.
Okay. At this point, there is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second
Mr. Witt's second. Are there any additional conditions that this board would want to put on the application as presented? Hearing none right now, I'm looking for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Motion passed. So, Mr. Stokes, you now have permission to go forward on your stucco. We're excited to see what you discover.
Well, he's gotta wait till after.
Yes, you do have to wait till March 9th to get the Borough Council approval. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we want to move to item B on the agenda, COA 2600XX, Major Project 110 Chambersburg Street, Jake Schindel. Good evening, Mr. Schindel.
Good evening.
If
How is
you-
everyone this morning?
Good, great. Give me 1 second, Jake, if you would.
Yeah.
Mr. Whitmore, can you give us background on the project, please?
Okay, this is a request to construct a brick archway on the east front of the property and repair an existing sidewalk with brick. Property is first shown on 1902 Sanborn Fire Insurance map as a 3-story brick structure with a slate or tin roof and side frame 1-story porch. We have a 2019 land use sign permit, 2019 change of use application, another sign permit in 2021, roof extension over existing deck occurring in 2024 with stair and landing, and then this application. One note with regards to the actual coding for this application, the COA 26XX, when submitted, we still may have some issues with our permitting vendor for as it relates to all of our permits, to be honest. And this is one of the effects we're having is trying to come up with the correct number for this one, as there appears to be an issue where we're potentially got a duplicated number. If it's acceptable to the board, we can proceed with this XX nomenclature, and once we're able to establish a number for it, it would be revised upon going to council.
And before it goes to council.
Yeah.
I think that should be sufficient. Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. At this point in time, Mr. Schindel, would you like to give a presentation?
Sure. Yeah, and I just have one question pertaining to the agenda. So it says on here, based on the application that I put in, to construct the brick archway on east front of property, repair existing sidewalk with brick.
Yep.
Now, it is my understanding that the sidewalk is not to be approved by this board
It is
tonight, right?
not really sort of
Right,
function of this
okay.
board.
I mean, I don't care either way. I just wanted to make that
Correct, but
clarification.
your intent is to
Yeah.
basically just
Ye-
put brick in there and,
Yeah,
but that's a separate permit that
right,
John
right,
and the
and
borough
that's
will deal with.
yeah. I've
all
already
that.
been working with Ms. Mesher on getting that, and that's got to be a different timeline because of the PA one call
Correct.
stuff. So anyway, okay, so this is it's an AI generated.
Very good, by
document.
I would say.
Thank you. I got a recommendation on this. But so my intention is to obviously you can see the mini splits there on the building to the east of me, which is the Epley building. I was trying to I want to put something there that kind of pulls the eye away from that a little bit if possible. And I got this idea of like, okay, well, let me put in an archway there. It provides, something more attractive to look at, as well as I have behind where this archway is right in this picture, about 15 feet is a iron gate that was there at the time that we purchased the property. That will be the gate. This is not an exact rendering of the iron gate. It's
Similar.
black. It needs repainted, but it would still allow for the handicap access because this is the handicap access to my to the back of the shop there. So anyway, again, my intention is to draw the eye away from the mini splits and there's also you can't see it because it's black and white, but there is a window air conditioning unit in the building next to me that doesn't look great. So I'm just trying to do whatever I can to beautify the front of my building and to pull the eye away. So this structure would be obviously attached to the building. Well, it would be adjacent to the building, not necessarily attached to. And then that iron fence would be attached to the pillars of the archway. So yeah, pretty simple. I made these this morning. This is the color brick, trying to do something similar to what we have there. Obviously, my brick is from the early 1900s for the building,
Yep.
so we can't, we can try to match it as well as we can.
Is it going to be a solid structure or is it going to be cord lined and then?
Yeah, solid. Yeah. Just because it's not going to be connected to the building. It has no other bracing besides itself.
Yep.
So it'll be solid. But yeah, so that's the intent of the project, is to beautify my property, but as well as the streetscape, pull the eye away from the air conditioning units and the mini splits there. And then also, it does provide some sort of security, but that's about the gist of it there.
Okay,
So
thank you. At this point in time, I would like to maybe make up some time here and start with Mr. Witt, if you have any questions.
No?
Mr. Edgar, do you have any questions?
Where is your property line? Is that actually up at the Epley building? Okay.
yes,
So
yeah,
this is all on your property.
yeah. So actually, I think technically, based on the renderings that we did years ago after the fires, the property line is kind of moves a little bit. It's not exactly, but yes, this is all on my property. So I would only be touching Linda's property there. So
And how high do you envision this being?
so I didn't want to take it any higher than that. So that's at the peak underneath. That's 7.5 feet there. So I didn't want to go much higher than that. I mean, even though I would love to cover up those mini splits, they're about 9 feet in the air.
Okay.
So, I was trying to get as tall as I could to try to block some
Because
of that.
there will be, because it is the accessible entrance, there will
Right.
be some code issues you'll have to
Right.
deal with hardware,
Right.
with, head height clearances going
Right.
through.
Yeah.
So,
I can walk through it, so
Yeah.
that works.
okay, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Schaefer?
All right, so you think the 7 foot is at the center?
It's about 7.5 in the center there. I mean, I certainly, we could go higher, but I figured that would be adequate to try to, I mean, it obviously doesn't, you can see the whole mini split right there. I was trying to block some of that in whatever way that I could. And
I think the only reason for my question, Jake, and it code-wise, I mean, I like the looks, but I think the ordinance, now this is a private sidewalk, but I think the ordinance requires 8 foot clear over the public, over
right.
sidewalk.
Yeah. So would that have to be 8 foot?
It's a private sidewalk.
I don't know.
It's also his handicap entrance or exit.
John has,
Well,
so
for,
you would
for
have-
PennDOT, it's 7 feet.
okay.
So you'll have a certain width and a certain height of
Yeah.
an area
So
you'll need to go.
the gate, like I said, the gate, that gate is not exactly the gate that will be there. The gate that will be there is the gate that is existing about 15 feet behind that gate. And currently that gate is there. And when, we went through the ADA compliance years ago, that was compliant. And it's 30, it's a side panel that's, I didn't measure that, but I'm going to guess it's about 2 feet maybe. And then the actual gate itself swings completely both ways. And that is 36, 37 inches.
All right, no other questions.
Ms. Christensen?
Why don't you bring us coffee?
I didn't know this was going to take this long.
I liked the arch. I think it is gonna really complement the Epley building too.
Yeah, well, that was, I
think it
mean,
looks cool.
be friendly to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Mr. Spittler?
And the accessible route was approved with the gate that you have now?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So that gate was there when we bought the building. So we're just taking the existing gate, moving it 15 feet forward so it's closer to the street. And therefore, we are moving it, but it's the existing gate.
And it was, so when you purchased this building, what was the building originally?
Doctor's office.
Yeah, it
coffee
was
shop,
yeah.
there's
It was
restaurant.
it was a coffee shop at the time that we bought the building in 2001.
And that gate's always been there, and that's always been your
Yes, sir.
ADA compliant pathway.
Yes, sir.
Has it been checked by anybody?
It was checked by
Labor industry?
Miss
Clem?
Phillips.
So this building also had some issues with fires and being rebuilt and,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
things.
their occupancy was originally through labor and industry.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
You go in from the back
Yeah.
to get the accessibility.
Right.
Works for me. I've just seen it in another instance where the same scenario where the gate was actually locked and it couldn't be used, and it became a federal lawsuit. So I was just
Yeah.
asking questions.
So Miss Phillips, I don't know if you know who I'm referring to. Years ago, she was in a motorized wheelchair, and she would go around to different places to check and see if it was ADA compliant. Now, this was 20 years ago.
17 years?
So, yeah, I'm sure ADA compliance has changed.
Comes up in
It
ground
does.
But,
rules, too. Same
yeah,
She went through the borough systematically.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
happened in
and
another
and
place.
she, I mean, she approved at that time, and
I just
like I
didn't
said,
want you
yeah,
to get all hemmed
no,
up.
no, I get you. I mean, that's, part of the reason that I mean, obviously, I wanna do this project, but also, I wanted to make sure that I was still ADA compliant. That the handle on the iron gate can be easily opened from either side to move it either way, and she was absolutely on board with it at the time.
I'm
So
good with it, 'cause that's
yeah.
how that one came up. They had two couples that would go and check everything in town.
yeah,
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Shara, do you have any questions?
I do not.
One question I do have for you, just
Yeah.
given the height of the structure right now.
Yes.
You're gonna have to put some form of footer in to carry the weight of the structure.
Yes, the contractor that I'm using is.
That's your building inspector over there.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so I'm using Young's Masonry.
Yeah.
And he was going to have to put the footer into the concrete there.
Yeah, he's gonna
Right.
probably cut out that slab that's there.
Yeah.
He's gonna put a 36-inch footing.
Right.
He's probably gonna have, is it CMU?
Yeah.
Yes.
So then that's all gonna be rerouted and solid core, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously that we are trying to do it somewhat concurrently with this project in the sidewalk, which would be, he would also be putting concrete, cutting out concrete and then putting concrete in there.
Because in this space
So-
right here, where the arch is, how far out are you proposing to actually redo the sidewalk?
So this is about 10, 12 feet back.
Okay.
So from the edge of the sidewalk.
The actual borough
So
sidewalk.
yeah,
But from that point, the whole way to this arch, you are trying to re-brick this, or?
No. This is not anything that's going to be re-bricked.
So-
The only bricking will be done on the actual sidewalk.
So you're
out
gonna
front.
change the concrete on the borough sidewalk to brick?
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the property down here on Baltimore Street, Pings, you know how like it goes through the center.
Yes.
The center is the brick. So the tree out in front of my place has started more significantly pushing up
Yeah,
the
upward.
concrete that's there. And when I had the mason, I actually had two masons come out to look at it, and they suggested instead of, because obviously I'm on Route 30, instead of doing the whole thing and then having to potentially redo the curb and everything else, to cut out the bad section, which was the middle, because
Right.
that's the roots are going this way in towards the property, to cut out that part and then brick that,
Okay.
put down,
But you're not doing any sidewalk
I'm not doing
work
any sidewalk work in this picture, no.
other than as part of the
As
approval
part
for
of the
our
footers.
COA, you were
Correct.
then gonna go to PMCA for a permit
Yeah.
for what would be a footing inspection for all this stuff.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
That is my only question, because given the width of that, it'd probably be one CMU to be able to get enough space, because he's not cutting into the building.
Right.
He is doing this as a standalone
Yeah,
post.
right.
And that's why I asked if you were gonna do it like in concrete versus a CMU.
Yeah,
Because Cody could potentially, and I'm assuming it's Cody, not Matt.
it's Matt.
Oh, it's Matt.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
neither one. They would be able to just structure this out so they could clad it, but
Right,
it
yeah.
may be easier to do it that way.
Yeah. But yeah, it won't be, I mean, obviously it'll be connected to my building and to Linda's building, but only adjacent
Yes.
to, not actually,
Okay.
attached
I have
to.
no more further
Yeah.
questions. Are there any additional questions of the applicant? At this point in time, I'd like to read the proposed findings of fact. The structure at 110 Chambersburg is located at the boundaries of the Gettysburg Historic District and thus comes under the review right of the board. It is subject to the oversight of Chapter 11 of the Borough Gettysburg Municipal Code, which governs the preservation and historic and architecturally significant areas within the borough. It is a sensitive building as defined by the Borough of Gettysburg Municipal Code, being over 50 years old and exhibits characteristics of a vernacular, Italianate influenced urban architecture. The building is a contributing structure within the Gettysburg Battlefield Historic District and is constructed in 1902 as a 3-story brick structure. It reflects a vernacular adaptation of an Italianate commercial architecture expressed through vertical window proportions, masonry construction, dormered roofline, and subtle decorative cornices treatments. The structure maintains its historic massing, materials, architectural character, and contributes positively to the historic district through scale, material authenticity, and continuity of the commercial store frontage. The proposed work is considered a major project with modification to a contributing structure, including the construction of a new brick archway on the east front of the property and repair of existing sidewalk with brick. The property is viewable from the public way of Chambersburg Street. The Secretary of Interior Standards and the Gettysburg Design Guide both play a crucial role in the historic preservation process. Please consider the following. Standard 9, new construction shall not destroy historic materials and shall be compatible with massing, sizing, scale, and features. Standard 10, new construction shall be reversible without impairing the historic integrity of the primary contributing structure. At this point, is there a motion by this board as to the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness to the Borough Council for the proposed work? Are there any additional conditions this board would advise be added to this application?
I'll make a motion.
A motion by Suzanne to approve the work as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Edgar. Are there any discussions or additional questions? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Schindel. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Have a good evening.
At this point, I'd like to move to the next item on the agenda, which is COA 260006, Major Project 132 East Middle Street, Phil Goebel. Mr. Whitmore, can you read the background for the project, please?
This is the replacement of 13 windows with in-kind material, well, with no changes to the rough openings. West side bay and a little window, both vinyl, 2 wood windows on the east side, 2 on the north side, rear wood. None of the windows are located on the front facade. All are on the side or rear of the structure, not visible from the main streetway. First shown on the Sanborn Fire Insurance map in 1902 as a 2-story brick dwelling with a single-story framed front porch. Roof on the main dwelling was slate or tin. We have permit history of a fence in 2018, 2023 application for solar panels in the garage, and then this application.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Is there a representative for the project? Good evening, sir. Can you go up to the podium and state your name for the board?
My name's Jim Wicks with Renewal by Anderson. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Goebel
Okay.
for approval.
Wix, W-I-X?
Correct.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Wicks.
Evening.
Would you like to go over a presentation, please?
Yes, so we will just be doing standard insert replacements, nothing on the front side of the house, all side and rear. And we are replacing with our Fibrex material. This is actually the same color, the canvas that we'll be using, if you want to pass it around. It's a composite material, vinyl and wood. They've been out for over 30 years now, and nationwide, we've never replaced a single window. But these do replicate wood windows about as close as you can possibly get without actually replacing with a wood
I think it's the
window.
first time we've actually had a Fibrex window come into the board, so I'm actually pretty curious to see how this looks.
Yep. So as opposed to a vinyl window, as far as structure, tested about 2 times stronger than vinyl. You don't have to worry about any warping with that material. And like vinyl, there is no maintenance to it. So it doesn't require sanding, painting, staining, anything along those lines.
Okay, thank you. At this point in time, I'd like to open it up, questions for the applicant. I believe we are with you, Mr. Edgar. Do you have any questions to the applicant?
Not this time.
Mr. Schaefer, any questions of the applicant?
No, I was at the house today and went through it. In a way, the most visible windows that are being replaced are the bay window
The
on
bump
the
out.
side, and those are already vinyl windows.
Right.
So, The others on the other side and rear are not visible, and they're only replacing the first floor of that bay, correct?
Correct.
Not the second floor, which is original windows.
Right.
No, I have no other questions.
I'm sorry, Mr. Schaefer, can you restate what you just said about the first floor versus the second floor?
On the bay that you can see, that's on the side, that's the most prominent windows being replaced.
And it's just the first floor?
And they're only replacing the first floor, which is already vinyl windows.
Okay,
They are vinyl replacement windows on the first floor.
thank you.
The second floor has original windows and they're not replacing them.
Ms. Christensen, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Mr. Spittler?
No, sir.
So I do, oh, excuse me, Ms. Scherer, do you have any
No,
questions?
I do not.
Okay. I have one question. This is a question of just general confusion, and I spent a fair amount of time looking at this property. It appears that there are full light windows in portions of the house, and there are 2/2 windows in portions of the house.
Right.
Mr. Schaefer, it sounds like you actually had the opportunity to see it in person. Which windows are the original windows?
I think the mixture is actually, the 2/2 may have been replaced later on the rear part or a later addition.
At one point, I went back and forth several times on what options could have been.
Yeah.
Would it have been possible that when this, because this house dates to 1902, and would they have put full light windows on the facade of the house and then went to a different style of window for the other ancillary sides of the property?
I'm not sure, but I think the 1/1s are consistent with when it was built
Correct.
on the front.
So then the question I have, and you look like you were trying to say something, so.
Well, I was just gonna say, as far as the grids as well, those are all exterior, fully divided light grills.
Yes.
So those are not in between the glass or anything.
So they are original wood windows with muttons that actually.
Right.
So one of the concerns that I have is, so this structure right now has mixed muttons in its design, whether by accident or by some replacement during the 20th century. And if we go by the front facade of the building, which informs the historic property of the building, why would we not put full light windows in the entire house?
I think the HARB ordinance, the Department of Interior's guidelines basically only require you to provide what is there, what you can prove is there, and not necessarily change the looks. So that if you're replacing windows and stuff, we've gone through this before.
Correct.
You replace what you can document exists unless you have photographic evidence or other evidence that different windows existed. So it's part of the character of the property that there's this mixture of windows. And I
But
don't
these are
think you try to
replacement
make it
windows.
whole without evidence that it ever was different.
Okay. So
There's
I
nothing
was
that we
going
can
through
do.
the guidelines today, and many of the guidelines, in the absence of what would be original demonstration of what the building was, and the fact that there are replacement windows in the house, the front facade informs the board on what the structure of the building should be. And so at some point in time, one has to assume that a 2/2 window was put in as a 20th century replacement. And that if the applicant has taken the time and effort to put money towards replacement windows, wouldn't the front facade of the structure inform what the historic fabric of the building would be?
I don't think, nothing, I think that's presumptive, and nothing in the application is asking to restore a different look either way.
Correct.
So I think you use the existing condition as documentation.
Because the applicant
Of
has
what
asked
should
for
be.
that.
Yes.
Okay. And if the applicant wanted 2 over 2 on the first floor, 1 over 1 in a bay, and 1 over 1 on the second floor, and 2 over 2 on the back, because that is what has happened. The boards should not advise them against the design appropriateness of that. Is
I don't
your
think
rec-
that's the condition we have. I think if the applicant came in and wanted to make it consistent and pick one of those windows, we would entertain that motion.
Interesting, interesting. It just seems to me that the bay is what actually really sort of set this off for me, because every other window that is being replaced in that part of the house is actually 2 over 2. But the bay at some point in time was replaced with 1 over 1, so now we mimic what bad decision was previously occurred. And it just seems that that is inappropriate from a historic preservation perspective. But if, that sounds like the board
The
does.
main part of the house is all 1 over 1.
That's correct. Yet every
And the bay is
window
1
on the
over
back
1.
half of the house is 2 over 2, with the exception of the bay.
A few.
I believe it's everyone in that side of the photo in the upper right-hand corner. And so that's my confusion right now is there is just, it appears that is a hodgepodge of replacement windows have occurred in the 20th century, and the applicant is just replacing what was inappropriate window replacements that were done prior. And our board is just going along with that because that's what's there. So, I don't want to belabor the point. I'm not sure if anybody else is concerned about window muttons as I am, so, but I certainly, when it comes to the facade of a building, the guidance from the Department of Interior is clear. The front facade of a historic structure, the windows there represent the windows that were in the house. And so, it just seems incongruent.
I'm very confused at this point about what's there. So in just a quick minute, because I did look, but now I can't remember because of the conversation. So there's 1 over 1 on the front or 2 over 2? There's one.
Full light or 1 on a 1 on the
over
front of
over
the
one.
house.
All
on
on
the
the
front.
front part
Yes.
of the
Right.
house.
And on all 3 floors of the house.
Right, yes. And so you're putting 2 over 2?
No.
Is that the request?
How many did you count, Joe? It's a
There's
lot.
13
I mean, it looks
windows,
like they're
but it's
2
like
over 2,
11.
11 are 2 over 2, except for what the bay is, because the bay was already replaced at some point in time.
But the bay is, are you asking to replace the bay without me looking through all this stuff?
They're asking to replace the first 4 bay windows.
Right, with 1 over 1?
Which what's there right now.
1 over 1?
I just replicated everything that was
Yes.
in
So,
that over.
so out of curiosity, did Phil say, I want 2 over 2, or I want 1 over 1?
This was all specifically what he requested.
Because he was going in kind, because Phil used to sit on this board, and in his mind, an in-kind replacement is replacing exactly what was there, irregardless of whether or not it was actually the original window to the house.
I understand.
And that's the thing that I'm actually trying to poke you with, Gary.
Do you know, when you talked to Phil today, if he specifically wanted 1 over 1 or 2 over 2?
When I asked him, and of course he's ill, but when I
Right.
asked him, he said it was, the windows were being replaced in kind. The
Yes.
1 over 1s with 1 over 1s, and the 2 over 2s with 2 over 2s. And it's not out of line that, the 1 over 1s are original, and the prominent windows are all 1 over 1s, and I thought the replacements are all 1 over 1s on,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now, 2 wide and 1 high, so yes, that would be,
Yep, what? Yep, 1 over 1 or 2 over 2?
so you would go 2 wide and then 1 high, as far as the grid.
It's
pattern.
2 over 2, Susan.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But you said the grid is not in between the glass.
It is not.
So is it
So they could
removable?
take it out,
So they don't even need to use them, the
right?
grids.
Yeah, they are removable grids.
Right.
that have
For, on the exterior as well?
Yeah.
Interior and exterior. Yeah, I'm showing 1 grid pattern for the whole, all 13 windows on my
This
contract.
shows
Yeah.
the grid.
And that's really what has me thrown is the front of the building, which this is a gorgeous colonial revival building. And so Again, it just seems if someone's taking the expense to actually replace the windows, the opportunity to maybe align with the historic fabric of the structure, it just seems appropriate. But again, I don't think Mr. Goebel would have, he would have wanted to replace them in kind because that's what's there. And
Is there a
Yeah,
difference in the price?
I guess I'm confused now too, because
Yes.
so many of these are showing,
that's because they're all 2/2, Gary. When you go there, the entire side of the house is 2/2.
So
so
you-
many of these are showing 2/2s.
Yes.
And so are all the windows 2/2s?
On my contract that I just opened up, yep.
Well, you can see the bay is not,
With the exception of the bay.
but they are on here.
Now, on the bay, those are the 3 windows that are actually full light windows.
Yeah, besides that center picture window.
Yeah, I think they're like 101, 102,
The grids are
103.
removable.
What?
The grids are removable,
So,
but they're more expensive. I don't know,
What's your
maybe.
question, Stephanie?
well, there's no question, the point of it is that if we approve the replacement windows that he is proposing, the grids are removable. So he can use the grids, or he doesn't have to use the grids. We can approve to,
Mr. Goebel's ill. I doubt he's gonna do anything with the windows personally.
well, no, but that's the
But
point.
the next
is that-
homeowner will be able to have the option to actually clean up the grids as well if they choose. So, but it may cost him more money to actually do this, but again, I can only imagine how much this is costing.
So just a question, moving forward, if I do run into this again, I should go off of the basis of you want everything to match whatever is on the front side of the house should be consistent with the rest?
That is my opinion. The rest
Okay.
of the board may differ from me on that.
So it's gonna be job to job kind of thing?
It may job to job, or whoever's on this board as you come through. The plan to have inconsistent windows in Gettysburg seems to be the number one thing we do.
Yeah.
So, at this point in time, is there any more
That's
discussion?
not fair, Brandon.
You'd walk down these streets,
I
Suzanne.
know, but the board, so the thing is, the board changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there have been many people who have put in windows without the board's approval.
Right.
And then we
just
can't
calls it a
react to
whatever
that,
one.
or whoever
For
has
there.
been or will be
And the
on the
next one.
board,
Yeah.
It's one over
just
one.
to
And
clarify.
that's
I understand.
exclusively.
I just wanted some,
But then it
just,
shows
you know,
that-
moving
Well, it's
forward.
not
I think the
necessarily about
intent
what's
is
on
to
the front of the house,
replace
because
the
maybe
Bay
what's on the
with
front of
what
the
was
house
in
is
the bay, and
were
then
replaced
replace
with
all the
Everything
other
else.
not
windows
the
in the
appropriate
house
windows,
with what
and the
is
ones
2
on
over
the
2, which was what I
opposite
saw.
are appropriate. It depends,
And that's why I
Alright.
asked.
what, the original windows is what
No, it makes sense.
you'd like to go for.
Right. And that's really, to try to set a standard,
Yeah.
in my mind, on a historic building such as this, the front facade is most certainly what the original windows in the house. This board for 50 years has resisted allowing people to change the front windows. So, in absence of physical evidence, which unfortunately I could not find any pictures for this property, I couldn't find any details that actually giving, I'm left with basically having a discussion.
Yeah.
And so, and I think to Ms. Scherer's point, though, the fact that the grids are removable, the homeowner, future homeowners have the option to pop them out and unify the building.
Yep, absolutely. And then they look, and they're wide bar too, so any historical grid's gonna be thicker than the ones today, where they're like
Correct.
3/4. So this is gonna still give it a replication of what's there, and then. if he wants
And
to-
that's actually one of the criteria that the interior also recommends to us, is that the muntins that we use should really be simulated divided light styled so that they replicate the historic muntins and align to what the windows are.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
but at this point, seeing the hour, I'd like to read the proposed findings of fact if there are no more questions. Thank you. The structure at 132 East Middle Street is located within the boundaries of the Gettysburg Historic District and thus come under the review right of this board. It is subject to oversight under Chapter 11 of the Borough of Gettysburg Municipal Code, which governs the preservation of historic and architecturally significant areas within the borough. It is a sensitive building as defined by the Borough of Gettysburg and being over 50 years old, and is an exceptional example of early 20th century colonial revival architecture. The building is a contributing structure within the Gettysburg Battlefield Historic District, constructed in 1902, and has a 2-story brick structure. It can be best described as, for its symmetry, its classical porch columns, dormers, and brickwork, all of which relate strongly to the colonial revival movement. The structure maintains its historical massing, materials, and architectural character and contributes positively to the historic district through scale, material authenticity, and continuity of streetscape. The proposed work is considered a major project with the modification of a contributing structure, including the replacement of 10 original and 3 vinyl windows. The property is viewable from the public way of East Middle Street. The Secretary of Interior Standards and the Gettysburg Design Guide both play a crucial role in our historic preservation process. Please consider the following. Standard 2, retain historic character. Window openings remain unchanged, preserving the facade rhythm and proportions. Standard 5, preserve distinctive materials and features. If existing wood windows are historical and repairable, they should be repaired rather than replaced. Excuse me. And standard 6, replace in kind where necessary. If windows are deteriorated beyond repair, replacement should match and be period appropriate. At this point, is there a motion by this board as to the issuance of certificate of appropriateness to Borough Council for the proposed work? Are there any additional conditions this board would advise be added to the application?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve what's been presented. I don't know if we can do this, but I think we should offer to allow a 1/1 to be accepted if the homeowner would like to do that. Because I do think that in Phil's condition, that Phil and Rita, if they knew that they cost less to do 1/1, would choose to do that. And so can we make a motion to do that?
I have no problems, it's your floor.
Okay.
So you would put a condition in that allows the applicant to adjust to 1/1 if they so choose.
With the same window, not with, yeah.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want, I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Does it materially impact the cost?
yes. He said it's lower, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's nominal compared to the cost of the whole window, you know, but, and we're only doing them on the top, so it's not like you're having the bottom, so, I don't know, 13 window.
So you keep on saying doing it at the top. You're actually putting simulated divided
1/1.
light on the top and the bottom. In all of your pictures, you actually have on both sashes.
Yeah.
Okay. You've said that several times. It's just the top. And that is confusing. I know that confused Suzanne earlier and it has now confused me.
So this is what we call a 2/2.
Right,
If this weren't here,
right,
we would call that a
One-over-one,
I
a full
would call
light.
it a 2/1.
yeah.
But you say on the top, what do you mean?
In the second floor?
No, I was just saying as far as the grid pattern in general, not necessarily the top, I might have misspoken, but yes. I
You mean on the
whole-
face of the window?
Right,
Okay,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
sorry.
all right, yep.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the replacement of the windows with a condition to allow the applicant to do full light or remove the grid if they
No, none of these, 1/1,
to
glass, no mutton. Is that what you
To-
think I mean, you understand me to say,
No,
or us to say?
Yeah.
those eyes.
Yeah, that was at his request, you know what I mean?
Well, I
So-
think because he's saying like for like,
Yes.
that's what like means whatever's there to replace it exactly.
And you have to understand, Mr. Goebel was on this historic board for 20-some years.
Right.
And so he was very intimate with the window replacement process. So he certainly would have said, I wanted to do this. But if he has the option from this board to basically go with a full light window and it saves him a little bit of money, I agree with Suzanne. I think we provide the option to him.
Yeah, that's what he was.
So at this point, we have a motion on the floor from Suzanne with a condition to allow the applicant to utilize full light if they so choose. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Ms. Shara seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate your time tonight and your patience. I apologize for the long time.
It's okay. Just one more question, just to be clear, so, as of March 9th, then, that's when we get the stamp of approval, that's when I can send out for manufacturing?
That is correct.
Okay.
And the borough will give you a certificate of appropriateness, which will then allow you to have all the appropriate permits to be able to do your work. Suzanne,
That piece of finger that away.
thank you. Allow the applicant to utilize full light.
Are we closed at 9 o'clock, boys?
So choose. We can get this last one done.
We have some more.
It's not like Mr. Finkenbeiner is going to be a hard project. Okay, item D on the agenda, COA 260029, major project, 34 West Middle Street, Rich Finkenbinder. Mr. Whitmer, can you give background on the project, please?
This is a change of exterior door and hardware on a rear third floor. Replace 3 windows, 2 double hung front facade, third floor, and 1 third floor west side window with horizontal sliding window. All windows to be replaced are currently vinyl in style. New windows will match existing windows grid pattern. First shown on 1891 Sanborn Fire Insurance map as a brick 2.5-story dwelling with a shingled roof, 2-story brick rear addition, and with slate or tin roof. A frame or side single-story rear porch with slate or tin roof. No permit history.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Good evening. What is your name, sir?
My name is Michael Cutson with
Michael
Care
Cutson.
Properties.
Thank you. Thank you. And you were able to get that name, Karen?
Oh, your last name?
CUTSON.
Thank you, Mr. Cutson. Can you please give us a presentation?
So definitely not as prepared as everybody else with all the pictures. That is literally the only picture I have of the property.
Okay.
So we are going to be replacing the, so from here to be the left and the center third floor windows, which are currently vinyl. We're just doing direct replacement.
Yes.
They were blown out from the fire department
Yes.
when they put out the fire, and the other window would be on the right side, which is a small slider. And the exterior door is not really an exterior door. It is an interior door because that third and middle floor are apartments.
Right.
And so that's the door that's getting replaced. It's an interior entry door.
So for the sake of clarity for the board, I would like to read what your application is.
Yeah.
So it says change exterior door, hardware on third floor. Okay, that's fine. Replace 3 windows, 2 double hung on the front facade. So those little tiny windows.
back to the
Can you go back a
picture.
page? Those tiny little windows up there are not double hung windows.
No.
Okay. They are sliders or awning windows of some kind. Do you know which they are?
Not awning. for
They're probably
sure.
sliders then.
So they open?
Yes.
And which way do they open? Do they open like this?
I think I have a picture of it.
From when I looked at them, and I'm going by the historical photo, they were a 3-light awning window that opened up. And so I think that's where the mistake in the application is, and it took me a
They
fair.
are, yeah, they slide left to right.
So they're sliders, okay. And so your ask right now is you are only replacing the left and the middle window, but you are leaving the right window intact.
Yes.
Okay. And are they the same manufacturer?
They're going to be, I mean, I can get those from Home Depot.
Okay. Okay. And then the window on the third floor west side, there is one window that has an air conditioning arm to hold an air conditioning unit, and then there is another window beside it. Which one of those 2 windows is it?
The one that doesn't have the air conditioner.
Okay. Okay. Does that help clarify what windows are actually being replaced? That window, I believe, is a double hung window.
Yeah, because I have a picture of that one, and that one is one that is completely fine.
Yeah, and that is just a 6/6 double hung window that I
don't believe there
think
was
probably
any
is an
grid in there.
original window to the building, or has it also been replaced?
It's also been replaced at some point because every window in the place, the whole that third floor apartment's been renovated probably within the last couple of years.
Okay. Okay. And again, these windows are being replaced because they were damaged due to the fire.
Heavy smoke damage. There was micro cracks in them, and then the one was directly blown out from the fire department.
And yet all the other windows survived in this space, so it is just really focusing narrowly on these 3 windows.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I just wanted to make sure because the application is confusing in that regard.
My apologies.
Yep, double hung. Let's call them. We're gonna go with 2 sliders on there and 1 double hung window. Please continue if you would. I guess that is your presentation.
Oh, yeah, that's it. 'Cause everything else is basically interior.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Glass is appreciating a fast presentation. So at this point in time, I'd like to open it up to discussions by the board members. Mr. Schaefer, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No,
Okay. Okay. Ms. Christensen? Mr. Spittler?
No, sir.
Ms. Scherer?
No.
Mr. Witt? Mr. Edgar? So, and again, I am gonna harp on all this. The windows in this building are wholly inappropriate. They shouldn't have been installed the way they were. They shouldn't have been 6/6. They shouldn't have been integral glass. That is obviously some point in time this all happened. This photo right here is a great, perfect photo right here. If you notice in the photo, one window actually wasn't replaced. The second floor, it's 6/6, and then one full light. But now they're all full light. So obviously, the applicant on this property is free to change his windows out whenever they want. And so it concerns me when a building of such high style as this property, and John, in my researching of this property, I don't know if any of you know this, this used to be the Gettysburg Borough office
Wow.
back in the day. And so this structure is really, it's a beautiful building. And the challenge right now is I believe they are going to put Home Depot vinyl hopper windows in that you are intended to put in a basement because that's what fits in this space up here. And it is really the front facade of a historic structure, and we have no other real recourse to actually address these windows because it is in the process of doing a fire restoration.
And that is currently what they had also.
That is currently what they had. And so I will get off my soapbox. I have no further questions of the applicant. Are there any additional questions of the applicant?
Actually, yeah, this is just general, like curiosity about it. When you guys see, all these inappropriate windows, is there any recourse for that? Do you guys send citations or
I
anything?
get surlier as it goes on in the evening. How's that?
Now, I was just wondering if there was anything actually stopping people from doing that without
In
approval.
theory, we can go an enforcement route. The HARB board and the borough has been hesitant to do it because the documented evidence is difficult. We typically discover these things years after they occur, typically after a new owner has them. And so it's difficult to go back and say, so what I really like to try to do is emphasize in this style of structure.
All of this, okay.
In this style of structure, it should be a 2/2 window. And the whole building should be 2/2. And that would be what would be the period appropriate. It should be simulated divided light. You currently have windows up there that are grid between glass, 3/3 or 3/1 because it was intended to mimic the windows below because they're 6/6. And so the hoppers up there, and I'm assuming, are you going full light on those hoppers or?
Full light.
Full light. And so, because currently right now they were 3 divided light.
Actually, I don't think they were.
In the picture there they are.
Well, then from this picture, and then, because unfortunately, the best one I could get because of all the snow, this was, from like Zillow.
Yes.
And so I
And
think
this
between,
photo is actually, is from 2012, so.
so from 2012 to present, those top windows then have been replaced because they
Yes.
don't even have anything in them.
So just to be clear, the windows being put in will actually be a full light window that, and again, that really didn't come out in the application, but I believe it is actually almost impossible to get hopper windows that actually are 3/3. They may have been custom ordered back in this photo. The intent was, and as you can see in the windows over here, they wanted to at least make the windows all look the same on the 3 floors. So, but again, I
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, so which windows on this picture are you replacing?
so it would be on yours, it would be the left and the middle.
Top.
Oh,
Top.
those
Over
little
here?
ones.
Yes, that one there and that one there.
Okay,
They're gonna leave the furthest right 3rd floor window intact, because apparently that wasn't damaged in the fire. And then they are replacing a window on the west side of the building,
okay.
which in this photo up here would be on the right. And it is the 3rd floor window up there.
Yes.
And that is currently a 6/6, and I'm assuming you're gonna put a similar 6/6. Do you know what brand of window you're proposing?
That
to put?
actually doesn't have, yeah, that's just a,
Of course, I guess
yeah, that's
full
been
light.
replaced too. There's, no grids or anything in
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Did the one beside it have a grid in it? I think it does. So the-
No, I think the ones actually in the rear did. Which aren't getting touched.
Yeah.
Do you have a street view of this, John? I can try and pull something up.
When I went and tried to find architectural history of it,
Street view maybe.
the dates on this particular view of Middle Street are pretty old. Much like in the previous applicant, Mr. Cutson, what I would advise is if the windows on the front of the building right now are 6/6, and you'll see in this photo,
So from whenever this was,
yeah,
since whenever this was, that's when that third floor must have been renovated because those windows aren't there.
so those are 4/4.
Yeah, it's not there.
They're all full light right now. So
Yes.
you have full light on the western facade of the building. You have grid between glass 6/6 on the front 2 floors of the building. And then on the 3rd floor, you are going to have full light hopper windows. Is what you're
Correct.
proposing. So, yeah.
Yeah, work
I
with
hope-
the insurance companies and they just, they approve exactly like kind quality to what was lost.
And are there going to be screens on these windows?
If they come with it, I don't remember if there was any, if they're there currently.
Because these windows all, of course, have screens integrated into them.
I would assume so.
Now, the one on the west side then is, how many, is there grids or no grids?
Currently, no grids on any of the windows, except for the rear, I believe.
Hey, what you're saying is there's 4 different kinds of window grids in this property.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. This is what this board is intended to stop, just to be clear, everybody. And I understand, I beat this to death because it's the one thing that tourists, people see in town. And when we have such disjointed things, they go, why do we even have a historic board when people do whatever the hell they want?
But if we ask for a different window, we're just adding to the mismatch of everything else in
That
the
is
building.
correct.
If we ask for grids in the 3rd-story windows and 2 windows and they don't replace the 3rd,
Correct.
it just, so,
So do we err just basically full light then becomes the default, which right now, that is what the applicant is in effect saying is they want to shift this building to just a full light window. And I think in the absence of any sort of reasonable way forward, that is what I am comfortable with dealing with, unfortunately. But then it's like, we accumulate this time after time, meeting after meeting, and I don't have a solution to the problem other than I don't want to do this anymore.
but we couldn't address that unless it was issued a violation when it was done.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And so unless we hawk every single property, we get caught in this loop where insurance claim then replaces what is in kind for the property, irregardless of whether it makes architectural sense to the building or the historic district ordinance. Because I can't fix the other components of the building. And
Maybe
so-
it could be addressed if it wasn't a mixed-use building as well, because it is residential on 2 and 3, and then it's a commercial business on the 1st.
Right. What were you trying to say, Susan?
That 3rd window that's not being replaced, is that 6 over, or?
No, it's
No.
nothing as of right now.
It's full light.
glass.
It's full light, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think from the applicant's request, it is the best option given the circumstance. It just harms the building's historic fabric, pushing it forward. And again, short of, there's no effective way to address this. And I think that's the frustration that I am airing. But at that point, given the hour, I would like to move on if there are no more questions. Thank you.
So March 9th?
No, I have to read a lot of stuff, but you can walk out if you want, because it's been a long
I'll
night.
wait.
The structure at 34 West Middle Street is located within the boundaries of the Gettysburg Historic District and thus comes under the review right of this board. It is subject to oversight under Chapter 11 of the Borough of Gettysburg Municipal Code, which governs the preservation of historic and architectural significant areas within the borough. It is a sensitive building, as defined by the Borough of Gettysburg, being over 50 years old, and is another striking example of Gettysburg's substantial Italianate architecture. The building is a contributing structure within the Gettysburg Battlefield Historic District, constructed in 1891 as a 2.5-story brick dwelling, and is distinguished by its pedimented window surrounds, pronounced bracketed cornices with dentil molding, and prominent classical pedimented entry combined with robust Italianate detailing with a symmetrical composition influenced by a Federal Revival design. And although certain window replacements and treatments are not historically appropriate, overall the structure retains its historical massing, primary materials, architectural character, and continues to contribute positively to the district and to the streetscape. The proposed work is considered a major project with modification of a contributing structure, including a replacement of third-floor rear exterior alderwood door and replacement of 3 windows, 2 sliders on the front facade, and front facade, 3rd floor, and 1 third-floor west side double-hung window. The property is viewable from the public way of West Middle and East Legion. Secretary of Interior guidelines and the Gettysburg Design Guide both play a crucial role in the historic preservation process. At this point, is there a motion by this board to issue the certificate of appropriateness for this proposed work? Are there any additional conditions this board would advise to be added to the application? Suzanne, you gonna make a motion?
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Motion by Suzanne to approve the request as submitted. Is there a
Thank you.
second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Witt seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys all for your time.
March 9th. Mr. Glass, good evening. I apologize for the late hour. Mr. Whitmore, can you please read the last item on our agenda tonight?
This is COA 26-0021, critical project, 29 East Middle Street, Darren Glass. Project scope, this is reconstruction of a 12 by 21 foot garage with same footprint. It's designed with new garage will mimic the 1920s style and pick up additional design elements from the existing home. Concrete block foundation framed with 2x6s and sheathed to receive LP smooth smart side. 3 awning type windows will be installed on the alley side of the south elevation with a 10 foot wide, 7 foot high on the front side west elevation, and 1 double hung door and 1 window on the left side north elevation. Roof will be shingles to match the house. First shown on the 1902 Sanborn Fire Insurance map as a 3-story brick structure with a slate or tin roof and side frame 1-story porch. We have a 2019 land use sign permit, a 2019 change of use, 2021 sign permit, and then this application for the rear porch. There was 2020 repair and replace for front porch, stairs and structural repairs, and then most recently then the demolition work associated with the prior accessory structure.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Good evening, Mr. Glass. Would you like to do a presentation, please, sir?
I will keep it very brief, since given the lateness of the hour, and I think it's actually mostly been summarized. As I think you probably remember from the demolition when that had to be done, a couple of years, there used to be a cinder block garage that if you turn your head, I guess you can see up there on the screen. A cinder block garage that was in bad shape. And in consultation with the borough, we decided that it needed to come down very quickly. And I'm glad it did because of the heavy snow we've gotten this winter. And so this is just, we decided to replace it. I want to replace it with something of the same footprint on where the concrete pad is right there, more or less. I worked with Chad Colley here to design something that would hopefully be time period appropriate or appear to be time period appropriate and pick to the 20s style, picking up design elements from the house, looking like a carriage style, and picking up some of the colors from the house to mimic the brick and the green and white trim that currently exists. I guess Chad will have to help answer questions about the details of the technical materials. So I will leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. I'd like to start questions with Mr. Schaefer.
Basically, it exits to the alley on the west,
To Slent's Alley, which is, yes, on the west side, yes. So,
and,
right, so the side, I guess it's the south side, the side facing us right here,
Yep.
there's a telephone pole right there, so there were no other options, and I'm not sure.
Right.
I actually believe you at some point tried to explain to me the history of this property being given a right-of-way on the alley there so that the carport and garage open onto Slent's Alley.
right, and the shed, after the demolition, you have the open side of the shed. Are you gonna treat that with anything, or leave it open, the actual?
So that what you're seeing there,
Right.
the carport there, I park in the carport as well. I don't plan to do anything significant to that. I think we might
How
do
close
some
do you,
painting on
how close will the garage sit to that?
essentially adjacent. I mean,
Yes.
yes.
All right.
Probably
So
even
you're
closer
building
than-
right on the existing slab?
No, he's tearing the slab out and
Right.
putting a full footer in.
But
Yes.
Insufficient footers.
there were insufficient footers,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
so the slab needs to be replaced, but we're replacing the same footprint.
All right. No other questions?
Thank you. Mr. Christensen?
Nope, so I'm gonna call that a carport, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's the carport, and then right next to it is the structure facing west,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, yeah, no questions.
Mr. Bittler?
Nope, looks pretty straightforward to me.
Ms. Sharon?
No questions.
Mr. Witt? Is the structure gonna have power?
Yes.
Where are you getting power from?
So, there's already power, well, it doesn't actually obviously go into the demolished part, but it comes out from, where does the power to that?
So on that
there-
pole right there, the reason why I asked,
Right.
that is actually a conduit to actually bury power to somewhere. I don't know if that goes to your property. See that gray thing on the
Right.
side of that is actually to actually pull power to something. And so I was curious if you,
There is a power source on the middle post, as you see
Right.
beside the trash cans.
yes,
There's power that runs out there already. Whether or not that's gonna be sufficient, we haven't yet decided, but, it will be very minimal as far as the
load.
electric.
I would recommend, given the density of this area with the number of already existing, trying to limit having an aerial line to the garage and burying the power to the structure, I think would make the homeowner happy and certainly eliminate additional complexities when people crash into telephone poles and et cetera, or garbage trucks runs into telephone poles. And the other question I had for you was in the drawing, John, can you go to the drawing of the structure? Your footprint measurement is 12 foot by 21 foot.
16 feet by 21 feet, that was a misprint, or, I don't know.
Okay, so,
If I wrote it wrong, or if it was,
So-
in the COA, it should be listed as,
16 foot by 21 foot.
and that's the original footprint.
John, I think that is a correction that's gonna be needed to made in the application. Because I was gonna point that out at a garage door that is currently 10 foot wide by 7 foot high with a 12-foot garage, you have exactly 1 foot of space on either side.
It's 10, 3, and 3.
Okay. And the style of garage door is the overhead garage door designed to look like a carriage door, correct? And is that garage door indicative of what is going to be purchased?
It's very close.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a precision garage door, with that stylization.
With the lights on the top, the archways in it?
Yeah.
The lighting right now, is that also approximate to what the lighting's gonna be, which is gonna be some form of bronze-based lighting with sort of a luminescent shade? Okay. And then the final question, and God, you guys are gonna hate me for this.
I already know what's coming.
You do know what's coming, so the window choices for the project right now,
No choice is a Provia indoor with a contoured SDL grid, which we've talked about a lot in here.
so in the designs in there, those look like those are not exterior SDL grids, but they are actually grid between glass grids.
There should be SDL.
They are, okay. I just want to confirm that. One of the concerns that in a period appropriate use of windows, awning windows, hopper windows like this aren't really appropriate. But given this as an accessory structure and that, the visibility from the street, I'm inclined to give you a little bit of leeway on that just because. My bigger concern is these are white vinyl windows with a black-brown garage door. And it seems like you have clashing colors, and you can't change the colors of anything on here because that's the way it comes from the manufacturer. You may want to consider having a different color window that matches your garage door a little bit better, because right now you have two distinct color patterns.
Well, the trim is white
The trim is white, correct?
on the building, right?
Yes.
Right.
And on the house too.
And the idea there was to match the trim on the house.
With the intent of the match the trim of the house.
have the red on the brick and the green on
Yeah.
gable front and
And again, you're using the smooth-sided LP smart siding,
That is correct.
and the intent is at the awning at the top, it's still the smooth siding with the intent that you're going to match what would be the gable, color scheme on the body of the house.
The gable end is a simulated cedar shake that's made by LP Smart Side as well.
Let's say that again?
The gable end,
The garage.
yes.
So it is not LP Smart Side as siding. Your intent is, it was hard to see in the image that, your intent is to use a shake.
That is correct.
That would really draw inspiration from the house.
Yes.
Okay, that actually is, thank you, John. You can see it gets pixelated as
Yeah.
you zoom in, and it sort of looks like a line, it sort of looks like there's shakes in there, so. Okay, I think that is actually probably the most tasteful choice out of the entire project, is to draw direct inspiration from what is the historic facade of the building. And with that, I think, now that I understand that better, I am happy with what I'm seeing. At this point, are there any additional questions of the applicant? Okay, let's do this fast. The structure at 29 East Middle Street is located within the boundaries of the Gettysburg Historic District, and thus comes under the review right of this board. It is subject to oversight under Chapter 11 of the Borough of Gettysburg Municipal Code, which governs the preservation of historic and architecturally significant areas within the borough. It is a sensitive building as defined by the Borough of Gettysburg, being over 50 years old, and exhibits late Victorian characteristics with colonial revival influences. The building is a contributing structure within the Gettysburg Battlefield Historic District, constructed in 1902 as a three-story brick dwelling, and reflects late Victorian urban architecture, expressed through a bay window, decorative gable with ornamental shingles, and arched vertically aligned windows. The structure maintains its historic massing, materials, and architectural character, and contributes positively to the historic district through scale, material authenticity, and continuity of streetscape. The proposed work is considered a critical project with the modification of a contributing site, including reconstruction of a demolished garage with a new 16-foot by 21-foot garage. The property is viewable from the public way of East Middle Street and East Legion Alley. The Secretary of Interior Guidelines and Standards and the Gettysburg Design Guide both play a crucial role in our historic preservation process. Please consider the following. Standard 9, a new construction shall not destroy historic materials and shall be compatible with massing, size, scale, and features. And Standard 10, new construction shall be reversible without impairing the historic integrity of the primary contributing structure. At this point, is there a motion by this board as to the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for Borough Council for the proposed work? Are there any additional conditions that this board would advise be added to the application?
I'll make a motion to approve confirming the size of the garage is correct.
Okay.
Seven, what it?
16 foot by,
Which was, it was 16 by 21 on their original application.
yeah, it just morphed into our.
Yeah.
There's a motion by Suzanne to approve the application as presented with no conditions. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Edgar seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Glasser. I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. March 9th is the next time to be able to proceed. Thank you. At this point in time, I'd like to move to the remaining items on our agenda. At this point, is there administrative approvals from the The borough, I don't see any in here.
None.
Okay, thank you. The report of the chair, the only thing I'll remind people to do is get their ethics report submitted to Ms. Stahl. They will continue to hound us until we get that done. And of course, we do have to do our continued mandated training. So look for available training hours. Ms. English and myself will be sending out hours for availability. Seeing there's no additional people here for public comment, I am looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Suzanne, is there a second? Seconded by Mr.